Guys, good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I just happened across Breitbart News this morning, that far right conservative Trump supporter news outlet. And out of curiosity, I looked through it. I saw the title of some of the videos. And Black Lives Movement is hypocrisy because of black on black violence. So I wanted to see what nonsense they were spewing, how they were going to spin this, how it was okay, just, that how George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and the other hundreds of incidents that have come before this are okay, and somehow hypocrisy, and nobody should complain about it. So I needed to hear this video. And apparently this is the overwhelming reason, excuse. Every single video talks about Chicago, the black gang inner city violence in Chicago. Okay. So the argument is that as long as there's black on black inner city gang drug fueled violence happening in Chicago, why Chicago? Because Barack Obama comes from Chicago, and God knows everything is his fault to Trump supporters. So until this issue, this one particular issue, which has absolutely nothing to do with police brutality, excessive force, has nothing to do with it. It's beyond apples and oranges. It's wheelbarrows and bananas. And that's their reasoning. That you've got no right you got no right to complain about excessive force until you start talking about the black on black gang drug fueled violence. Are drugs the exclusive problem of the African American community? I don't think so, because I'm a recovering addict and I'm not black. And almost every single person that was in recovery with me was white. So it's not a black problem. And that's what's fueling the violence in the inner city. So, I don't get any of that. So I'm trying to come up with an analogy, because this is just so ridiculous that because this is happening over here, this total different situation over here, with no fault of the black American community or partial fault of the black American community in Chicago, that you've got no right, you should just be okay with being killed anywhere else in the United States by police. I don't even know what to say about that. That's pretty much the reasoning. So the nearest analogy I could come up with was, what if I'm driving to work one day and I get T-boned. Some people are just running stop signs, running stoplights, doing 110 down Main Street. Nobody's paying attention to the speed limits, and I get injured. And they pretty much tell me, the hospital, the police, people, society, you got no right to complain, because we have this drunk driving problem here that's killing hundreds and thousands of Americans. And until we take care of this over here, then you're just going to have to take your chances driving to work. People, we can't worry about people running stoplights over here and all this stuff until we take care of the drunk driving deaths over here. I know it's a rough analogy. I couldn't think of much else to come up with. It's ridiculous. And the fact that it's centering almost exclusively on Chicago is so telling in itself. To say that these people have no right to expect equal treatment under the law, or by the law, by law enforcement. They have no right to expect or complain about their treatment from law enforcement because of an issue with inner city drug-fueled violence over here. So basically, these people have to accept mayhem and death and mistreatment because of a situation happening in a particular city. And let me say this, man. Drugs are the root cause of 90% of all the broken law, the felonies and everything that happened in the United States. That's my guess. I spent 23 years in this. Are drugs the exclusive problem of African Americans to deal with and solve? I don't think so. And that's what's fueling gangs. That's what's fueling this violence in the inner city. So how can you even you pick a city because the first African American president that you despise came from that city, and say that African Americans basically have to solve this whole deal with the whole nation's issues of drugs and violence and gangs. You have to deal with that before you can expect to be not killed by the police. That's freaking ridiculous. That they have no right to complain. As long as there's inner city drug, and I emphasize this, drug-fueled violence, because that is what it's all about. Where does the money come from? Why is there violence? It's over money and power. Where does the money and power come from? From drugs. There's a direct straight line correlation there. It's not just because black people enjoy killing other black people. This is drug-fueled violence. The gangs, the drugs, it is because the gangs, the violence, the murder, it's all fueled by drugs and the resulting money, power, and corruption that comes with it. Is that the exclusive fault and or problem of one particular section of society? And I get so angry about this too because drugs affected me. They affect the whole country. And to scapegoat this on the African American community and make it their problem to deal with exclusively is going to screw over the whole country, all the people trying to recover, you're misunderstanding and misconstruing the whole drug problem in the United States, which does nobody any good. It's beyond ridiculous. Stop it. Stop it. Chicago, because of black violence in Chicago, black on black violence in Chicago, that black people should be okay with being mistreated by the police, pulled over, second-class citizens because of this particular American problem that the entire country is dealing with, drugs. No. And like I said, and it's not just causing the African American community harm. It's causing people like me, people in recovery, recovering addicts, people that want to recover. It's endangering future kids from getting into drugs. When you misunderstand the drug problem and try to scapegoat it like that, you are not doing anybody any favors. It's a stupid argument. Stop it. It's just going to come around and it's going to bite everybody in the ass. It's ridiculous. Stop the Chicago black on black violence excuse. Have a good day.